Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to the speaker series of the Chi-Town Multicultural Film Festival. My name is Dion Strohorn, and we are honored today to speak with Karen Vaccaro, acting coach. Welcome, Karen.
Hi, thanks, Dion. Thanks for inviting me to do this. It's
Yes.
really
Oh, no,
an
no,
honor.
no problem. Karen, before we get started with the questions, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are?
Okay, I'm Karen Vaccaro. I'm an actor. I'm a professional actor. I've been working in the business since, I don't know, over 40 years.
Yes.
That means I'm old. And I've been working in theater and commercials, TV, film, voiceover. I'm also a jazz singer. I'm a director. I've directed about a dozen shows, and voiceover artist. And yeah, that's what I do. I've been in the business. I've been teaching since 1986.
Okay. So where did you study?
Well, I studied, I graduated from Illinois State University in 1982. And after that, I moved to New York. And when I moved to New York, I realized people don't take you seriously unless you're studying. So I kind of created my own do-it-yourself conservatory. I studied with a woman named Julie Riley, and she had a very small group of actors that she worked with. So I went to class maybe 3 or 4 times a week. I also studied voice. I studied classical voice, and then I studied jazz singing as well. And I also studied with Margot Lewitton who came out of Cafe La Mama at the Women's Interart Center. Also over the years, I continue to do my training. I mean, I have a coach now that I work with before every audition, but I've done workshops with acting teachers like Eric Morris and a casting director who's really amazing. Her name is Theresa Bromson Garcia. She's in LA. She's a casting director and a filmmaker. Very, very special. I worked with a lot of other casting directors, and I've also done workshops with Kenneth Branagh and Cicely Berry, who is an amazing director and voice teacher for actors, Kirsten Linklater. Those are the people. And like I said, I continue to study, and
Yes.
I have a coach that I study with, I work with before every audition, at least as much as I can.
Okay.
Time allows.
I know that there's different acting styles and methods. Is there any specific method that you are comfortable teaching?
Well, I employ like a very eclectic approach. Everything is based off Stanislavski, but I don't believe in one acting god. I think everybody has something really great to bring to the table. So it's an eclectic approach, everything from Meisner to Strasberg. Now, although my teacher in New York was primarily came out of the Actors Studio with Lee Strasberg, she brought in Michael Chekhov. So there's some Michael Chekhov and Uta Hagen and Michael Shurtleff, and even some, over the years, some exercises and approaches I've created myself.
Yeah.
Who else? Cohen, acting, the guy who wrote Acting Power. Anyway, so it's a very eclectic approach, but I'm also very holistic in the way I work with my actors. It's important to me that an actor learn how to bring themselves to the role, really come from a place of truth and authenticity, because really I believe that's where interpretation isn't like what we dream up, in our bedroom, the way it should go and how we'll react. And I'm not saying there isn't a certain amount of thought that should go into those things, but really it's who interpretation lies in your gut and your own feelings and how it feels to say those things. And then in your relationship with the other actor you're working with, you discover your character in the relationship. So that's pretty much my approach.
Yeah. I know you had mentioned Los Angeles and New York. Are you originally from Chicago?
I'm from Rockford. I was born and raised in Rockford, Illinois, and I left in 2018 when I was 18. Sorry, what year is this? I went to college. I graduated from high school in '78, and I went to Millikan University, then Illinois State, and I never really moved back. You know, I was there a couple summers, but I moved to Chicago in 1982. After I moved to New York, you know, I studied there for 3 years, and I've been here since 1982. I have worked out. I worked in New York and come back, but yeah, so Chicago has been very, very good to me. There's something very special. There's special and about the Chicago acting community. When I came to Chicago in 1982, it was the beginning of the off loop theater movement,
Yes,
and
yes.
it was just such an exciting time because, you know, everybody knew everybody, and even though I didn't know somebody intimately, it was almost like they had your back. And I can't put it into words, but there was something very, very close knit about the acting community. And, you know, I know people in New York and LA, and they'll go, you know, who come from Chicago, and they're like, well, it becomes like small town eventually, you know, you get a sense of community, but it's very isolated, and it's not like this. I mean, for example, like there's the Coffer Center, which is, it's a non-for-profit center that's part of well, it's not actually part of the Screen Actors Guild. It's funded
Yes.
separately, but it's to serve SAG actors. And, you know, there, it's like the sense of community and what they're doing for the actors. You don't find that same thing. I mean, you know, they have centers that support actors in LA and in New York, but it's not like this. And now, over the past, I would say, 10 years,
Yeah.
there's been this renaissance in filmmaking, and it's the same thing. The way filmmakers and film actors support themselves and support each other. It's a special thing. I don't know how to exactly put it into
Yeah. Yeah.
words, other than it's special.
So then there's not a big difference between the theater community and the film community.
Well, there's difference. I mean, they're different people, but the energy around it.
Okay.
The energy around it, the intent, you know, the supportiveness, you know, there may be somebody, I know their name because I've been around and I don't know them, but it's like, oh yeah, I know him. You know what I'm saying? And there's
Yeah.
I don't know, this camaraderie. I guess that's the word, but it's very special, very supportive.
Yeah. So what made you, or what was inside of you that wanted to become an acting teacher or acting coach?
Well, you know, I'm very passionate about art in general, you know, and how it affects my life. And I'm passionate about being an actor. And so the thing about teaching acting is I'm not only training someone how to be an actor, but how to be an artist. And art, film, theater, TV, yes, television, theater. It, 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 it's something where people go to feel moved or to be affected in some way. I mean, if you look at back to the Greeks, it was to be, you know, it was like a place, it was like going to church, or someone
Yes.
went for some kind of healing. And so I look at art. Let's speak about myself. I go to theater, I watch film, you know, because I want to be moved. And as a performer, I want to communicate with people on a very visceral level. And to be able, I feel very alive when I can help someone else, when I can guide someone else to do that. And like the art of acting,
Yes.
where it's not, when I'm working as an actor, my attention's not on myself, it's on the other person. When I work as a teacher, it's the exact same thing. My attention will be on the other person. So yesterday at a coaching session, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so tired, I don't know if I can do this. But as soon as I started, my attention was off myself and on them. And I felt alive because
Yeah.
it wasn't about me, it was about them. Does that make sense?
It
I
makes
don't know if it was a
perfect
thorough.
sense.
Yeah.
Can you describe I was looking at your bio, and you've won quite a few awards. So
Yeah.
can you explain the process that you took on to prepare yourself to perform to win those awards?
Well, didn't really, I didn't do it to win awards. I work because I'm in love with the work. It's like, I feel when I'm working in a situation where it's like, I feel like I'm in love, like I'm having an affair, not like I'm cheating on someone. I said that once. I made this film a few years ago, person known to me, and it was a difficult time in my life, but we would rehearse on Zoom, and I would close it and I would just like go cry. It was like, because I longed to be with these people and do the work. So I don't do it to win awards. I do it because I really, really love doing the work. I love to rehearse. I love to be directed. I love to make mistakes. I love to fall on my ass. And when I say fall on my ass, that's not making a mistake. That's like allowing myself to just be like naked and open and be.
Yeah.
And know that when I'm feeling something, like there have been moments in theater where, like even when I was on Broadway, I could, someone said something and I had a reaction, I felt something, and I could feel everyone in the room feeling the same thing. So it's not really about winning awards. It's about doing the work and how much I love the work.
Okay. So can you give us a snapshot of your acting background from theater to film and even directing?
Oh, like a mini resume
Yes.
type of thing. Okay. Well, I moved to Chicago in 1982, and I worked a lot with Next Theater, and I was part of the International Theater Festival, which was amazing, where theaters from all over the world would come here, and then there would be companies who'd also be part of it. So I did a show with Remains called Puntala and His Hired Man. I was part of a couple of theater companies, Huron Theater for a number of years, and La Baraka 90, and I performed at Bailiwick, and I did, let's see if I can remember my resume. The Rise and Fall of Little Voice, I did that at Steppenwolf. I also had the chance to do that on Broadway. I've acted at the Goodman. I had to take a few years off for health reasons, came back and done some independent film, done commercials. I've done U.S. Marshals. There are a number of films like Stir of Echoes. Yeah, and I'm kind of now coming back after taking a couple of years off. Yeah. But I continue to work, and now more so with new representation, trying to for work.
Okay. So as an acting coach, do you prefer to work with beginners or established actors?
Yes, both. Anybody, everybody. I'm interested with someone who wants to work. If you have no experience, great. If you have a lot of experience, great. It doesn't really about, the work is the work, and it's not so much about how much you've done, but the work that you're doing. Like, let's put our hair in a ponytail and get to work. Okay. It's really about the work. I don't believe in talent. It's like talent schmalent. If you have, like Stanislavski said, you can pray you have it. But even if you do, I mean, if you look at, ballet dancers like Misty, what's her name? Misty Cohen.
Copeland.
I'm sure she didn't go, I'm a talented ballet dancer, and just like sat there. She works really hard. She goes to class. So talent really is the work, the proof in the pudding.
Okay. So when you take on a student or a client, do you help them with other areas other than acting, like to help them select an agent or agency, or with their headshots?
Yes. I do help them in terms of career counseling. I can teach them how the business works, at least here in Chicago, and and elsewhere in other markets. I'll say this, there is a market for everyone. I don't care what you look like or how old you are, there's a market for you. Okay. So I will guide actors through learning how to market themselves. Not only how to get an agent, but also like how do I want to, like, if you're a beginner, how do I want to, if I want a career in this, what am I going to do? Am I, am I going to take more classes than you, or do I want to go to college? Like, I have a student who might be considering, as a beginner, and like, well, maybe I'll go to a 4-year university.
Yeah.
That's something else I always also do too, is I coach actors who are auditioning for BFA or MFA acting programs. I
Oh,
would say
that's
everyone I've worked with except one has gotten into the programs they wanted to get into. So, it's helping you navigate that for yourself, see what your goals are,
Yeah.
what's possible for you, and the world's your oyster. I mean, John Mahoney, I think he was 35 before he's passed now, but he was 35 before he even started to be an actor, to pursue acting, to study acting.
So John Mahoney, was he in Frasier?
He was. He's also
Okay.
he was one of the founding members. Well, I don't know if he was a founding member, but he was he was a member of Steppenwolf Theater Company. He passed away a couple of years ago. But yes, he was on Frasier. Yes.
Yeah. For those that in the Zoom audience, he played Frasier's dad.
Mm-hmm.
So what have you been doing since the COVID-19? What have you been doing to keep yourself busy?
Well, it was quite a blow. So the first month or so was very stagnant. I didn't know what I was going to do.
Yeah.
I was just kind of surviving. But I saw that, luckily I have an agent who said, listen, if you want to do voiceover, here's what you need to do. You need to have a studio in your home, or at least, when they say studio, my studio is like this little box that's on my dining room table. And so I decided, well, because you're not going to have in-person auditions. So your voiceover audition needs to be almost broadcast quality, and you need to edit it. So I consulted with a guy named Dave Kessel, who helped me find a very inexpensive little unit that I put on my dining room table, and I put a blanket over my head and record. And he, everybody's setup is different. So I'm set up now with my computer and GarageBand to edit, and I've been doing voiceover auditions, and which is something I really hadn't done a lot of before to make me more marketable. I've also been doing more self-tape, which I really don't like doing, because I have no desire to be Woody Allen, but that's the nature of the business right now. So in terms of self-tape, there are people at the Coffer Center who help me do this via Zoom.
Yes.
Tim Fiore, who's one of my coaches, he sometimes has taped my auditions via Zoom. I've got like a light, and I'm about to get a backdrop for my dining room, so I don't have to move all the furniture out every time I do a self-tape. Yeah. So I'm gonna invest a little more money. So it's really, how can I market myself and have auditions and in my apartment? So that's how that's changed pretty much. And now I'm starting to teach again. I had a lapse there, and I was like, not going to teach anymore. And I don't know why, but a crisis of confidence, I guess you could say. Yeah. And then the more I do it, the more I realize how much I love doing it. I really love it. So yeah. I'm starting to teach more again. Okay. Virtually, of course. Virtually. Yes. I don't do anything in person just because of the pandemic, and let's be safe.
Okay. Now you had mentioned the business. I mean, in your opinion, how has the business of entertainment been affected by COVID-19?
Well, essentially, I would say 99.5% of theater is non-existent anymore. Although there is a theater in Milwaukee Rep, that's doing a Christmas show called Jacob Marley's Christmas, and they're doing it safely COVID style. I mean, yeah. I don't know how they're doing it, but they got it together to do it. I know that because of COVID, there really aren't any in-person auditions. Your auditions are self-tape, your callbacks are Zoom, and that's it. They're just now starting to get back to work in Chicago with Chicago Med and PD and Chicago Fire. And oh, sadly, it was in the paper, I think Chicago Fire just had an instance where someone came down with COVID. So they're going to shut down again. So they're, Cinespace has done a lot of things to make sure the place is sanitized, and there's always someone on set. I haven't been on set, so I can't tell you, but some people even shot commercials from their home. They've done some of that. So yeah, I mean, and as the union would say, it's not safe, it's safer. Clearly. People get tested. So it's a lot of doing things remotely.
Okay. You had mentioned that that you started back teaching via Zoom. Is it one-on-one or group sessions?
Well, right now I'm just in the process of getting group sessions together, and like after January, I'll be doing classes. With the holidays, it's just not a good time to start. But after the holidays in January, I will start doing our group sessions, monologue workshop, like one-time workshops, where you pay like $20 or $30 and you come in. It's a small number of people and you work on your monologues. And I would really like to get a scene study class together. So I'm going to be doing that after January too. A lot of my sessions now are one-on-one. They're private coaching.
Okay, because the next question was I wanted you to describe that acting coach student relationship. Like, how does that look?
It looks like when I start out, I try to tell my students sometime, okay, you're Michael Jordan and I'm Phil Jackson. That's how I want you to listen to me, because Michael Jordan, said he would not be anywhere without his coach, and he listened to his coach. I'm not going on the documentary was, but he was like completely invested in his coach, and he took the coaching, and that's how he got to where he was. So I expect people, I hope I invite them to really listen to what I say and take the coaching, and not be defensive, And I'm very rigorous in my work, but I also pride myself, I'm incredibly nurturing as well. Okay. And I will say this, although, in acting, you deal with feelings. I'm not a therapist. I can't take care of that. You need to go, I'm not a spiritual advisor. I'm not a massage therapist. As an actor, you need to go and find ways of taking care of yourself and get yourself taken care of. You may have a feeling come up. I don't want to know what I don't care what it is. I mean, not that I don't care about you, but I don't. It's none of my business. But if something comes up for you and you have a feeling come up, you have to use your feelings in acting. When we're done. I can't help you process that or take care of you, but it's your job to take care of yourself, to make sure that you can, and not only just yourself emotionally and spiritually, but physically as well, because your instrument is, part of your whole product.
So this is like a two-parter question. So the people that you've studied with, like who were students that worked alongside of you and students that you have taught, where can we have seen their work, or where can we see their work now? Without mentioning
people who I studied with, like, you mean not actors, but like actors who were like in class with me type of thing?
Yes, and your students.
When I went to Illinois State University, the founding members of the Steppenwolf Theater Company were there too at the same time. And in terms of students that I've had, I mean, I have students that are working in TV shows like The Americans, Law and Order, The Good Wife, The Office, Fargo, Unbelievable, True Blood, as well as all the Chicago franchises, Chicago Med, PD, Chicago Fire, and Empire, The Chi, The Boss. And on Broadway, I had a student who was in the Revival of Oklahoma, and students who were in Clybourne Park, and also the Revival of August Wilson's The Piano.
Okay. So if you weren't an actress or an acting coach, what would you be doing?
Oh, are we dreaming here? I'd be a jazz pianist. If I wasn't, this feels like inside the actor's studio. I'd be a jazz pianist.
Okay. So,
I mean,
but before we wrap up, our Zoom audience, is there any questions that you would like to ask of Karen? And at this point, it's very intimate, so you guys can unmute yourselves. Okay.
can I have? Oh, somebody has a question.
No question.
Yeah, there's something that came to mind that I wanted to say.
Yes, please do.
Someone was like, yeah, wanted to know, like, what should I know about, what are the most important things about going into an audition? What should I know about that? And I said, the most important thing you should know is, first of all, they don't know what they're looking for. They just want to see you. They're not saying, oh, is this they're not sitting there going, are they good? Are they not good? They want to fill the role. So they want you to be good. The other thing is, the most powerful thing you bring to the role is you, not what you think it should be or what the other person did, uniquely you. There is I don't know if you watch Fargo right now. Are you watching Fargo on FX? It was totally filmed in Chicago.
Yes.
The TV series.
Chris Rock?
Chris Rock, yes, Chris Rock is in it, who's got some major chops. He's really good. But the guy who plays the doctor, Steve Spencer, is from Chicago. He did not even audition for the doctor. This is a major, leading role in a series regular. He did not audition for the doctor. He auditioned for like a smaller, I think it might have been a reoccurring role, a smaller role, and got skipped over and ended up getting this role. So you don't know when you come in. And when they cast in TV and film, especially in commercials, they're casting on the kernel of who they think you are as a person.
Yeah.
So you come in and you bring you in. You put, they put you in a box, but you put yourself in that box.
Yeah, I heard something similar. The young lady who played Cookie's assistant in Empire, she had auditioned to be a rapper. And Claire Simon somehow talked to the executive producers and the producers of Empire and said, I think she will fit better in the role of Cookie's assistant. And she ended up getting the role.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, to piggyback off what you were saying.
Yeah.
So how can we get in touch with you?
Through my website at www.karenvaccaro.com, or you can email me at karen@karenvaccaro.com, or check me, message me on Facebook.
Okay. For the Zoom audience, this Q&A will be uploaded within the next week or so, and it'll be on our YouTube channel. I'll send that information to Karen. Karen, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to share your valuable information.
Well, thank you for inviting me. This has really been an honor for me.
Oh, and actually, before we sign out, you and we spoke, and you were saying something about the multicultural community that you wanted to kind of share.
No, it's just part of who I am. I mean, the term multicultural, I don't know if it was used so much, but like 30 years ago, I created an acting class for deaf actors.
Yes.
Being inclusive of, I've always, when I direct, I always like to think out of the box, and, I guess back then they called it colorblind casting, but it's part of who I am, being multicultural as a director, you know what I mean? In terms of casting, and as an actor and as a person. So this just felt like such a good fit, and that's why it's such an honor to be part of this.
Okay. Well, if there's anything that you need, our platform is here to promote you, to lift you up, and to further whatever endeavors that you're trying to seek out.
Well, thank you so much. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. And if we will talk, but happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving and have a great vacation.
I will. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so
This is
much.
Yes, this is Dion Strohorn of the Chi-Town Multicultural Film Festival signing off. Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye.